Welcome to the Grief Pod with Venetia Quick. This is a weekly podcast which looks at every aspect of something which has or will at some point affect us all. And that is grief. Whether you've lost a loved one or about to lose someone you know, or perhaps you're simply trying to help someone navigate their grief and don't know where to start or what to say, then perhaps this is the podcast for you. Each week I'll be bringing you different stories and experiences of loss, love, hope and at times humour. Actor, writer and director Kevin J. Ryan is currently back home in Ireland filming the 5th series of the show Harry Wild. He's worked with Patrick Bergin, Al Pacino and of course currently with the lovely Jane Seymour as well. He also worked with the late Julian Sands in 2014 on the drama series Crossbones, and they became good friends and hiking pals. And it was during a hiking trip that in 2023, Julian sadly lost his life after going missing. In the same year, Kevin also lost his lovely dog Copper as well. And Kevin joins me today on the Grief Pod. Kevin, thank you for coming in.
Of course, yeah.
And when I say home, is Ireland still home?
I think Ireland's always my home. LA is my
home.
second home, but I'm definitely based out there now for nearly a couple of decades at this point. And I always come back to work. I mean, I'm lucky that we have Harry Wild. That's brought me back home for the last 5 years. I was doing the Southwesterlies before that. And with acting, you're always travelling. Like, your home becomes your trailer and the people you're working with.
But actually, you used to bring Copper with you back home.
Copper did 78 flights to Ireland.
That.
Yeah.
Business class? Or
it depends if production were paying for that or not.
So well-travelled.
Yeah, she was well-travelled.
Dog.
Yeah.
But obviously, you wanted to take her to be here. That was how close you were. You couldn't leave her behind.
Yeah, I think for me, a dog is just unconditional love, and you can sit in silence with a dog. I can read my scripts without having to deal with anybody, and it's just a lovely bit of company to have. And yeah, we became very close, and even with hiking and everything, I brought her everywhere. She came literally everywhere with me. And she was 2 weeks shy of 11 when she passed.
Wow.
And that was early 23. And I remember saying, leading up to that, she had cancer in the lungs. And it was, I did everything because we, as dog owners, I'm not sure if you own a dog.
I'm a cat lady.
You're a cat lady. All right.
I'm one of those old cat ladies where the cat's my favourite person in the house.
They're less work. But you don't want to let go naturally. And I put up a fight with, the medical side to try and get everything we could. And we had ports installed and we were doing chemo. And, she kind of went downhill fast with that, which was very, very sad to see. And I was there. I took her out one night. It was, I wanted her to last Christmas and New Year's. And then the morning of January 2nd, it was like 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. or something like that. And she wanted to go outside, which she never wakes up in the night to go to the toilet. So I bring her outside and she sat down on the frosty grass, came back in, didn't want to come in, came back in, and I was tapping her bum going up the stairs. And we went to sleep. And then when I woke up in the morning, she wasn't jumping around. And usually I'll put my running shorts on. We're going for a hike. It's a new day. What are we doing? And she didn't get up, and I went over to her and she just took her last breath, and it was incredibly sad.
And shocking, though,
shocking.
as well.
Yeah.
Because Copper was a big dog.
Copper was, she was about, at that stage, probably 85, 90 pounds.
Wow.
So, yeah, I went into panic mode, which I haven't really said it to anyone, because, with this panic stage, and this is why it's such a beautiful podcast that you have here as well, because you dive into this and people relate to it. But I went into panic mode, and so I put her in a blanket and took her downstairs, and I'm trying to pump her heart a bit, and I even put my hands around her snout and tried to
do mouth
to mouth with the dog.
Yeah.
And then I caught myself immediately, and I just said, Kevin, what are you doing?
Yeah.
This is madness. She's gone so peacefully. Just let her go. but it was very sad.
Yeah, because you wouldn't do that with a human. Like a natural response is to, what can I do?
Yeah, it's to bring it back. I don't think how much you prepare yourself for loss that we're necessarily anywhere close to being ready when it happens.
Yeah,
with all the mental anguish and build up, even when somebody or your pet is sick or something like that.
Well, it's survival, isn't it? And it's keeping them going. So you have to you keep going to keep them going. Yeah,
it hits deep. It hits deep, and it was incredibly sad. But I mean, at the time, as I said earlier, I was like, if she can just last Christmas, if she can, and then it was okay. She's still with us. If she can just last the New Year's, and then she did, and it was a little. Okay, my job's done.
But just a hard way to start a new year as well. I
guess,
guess,
it was a tough one. And then during that time period as well, obviously Julian as well. And I had another friend as well just before Christmas that was like a second dad to me. He was like an LA dad. And we met years ago on the plane. And I'm actually meeting his son later on. But we became friends. And I ended up living with him for years in LA, and so he passed first, and then I had Copper, and then the Julian situation came up, which was just frightening, jarring, confusing, and heartbreaking at the same time.
And you're so far away from home. Okay, LA is your home, but your family are here. So Copper must have been family to you.
Well, this all happened in Ireland.
Oh, it all happened in Ireland.
Yeah, we were shooting. We were shooting season 2 and 3 of Harry Wild, so we were on our break over Christmas. So I was on the ground here for that.
Okay.
Which was a lot better, because otherwise I wouldn't have liked to have gone through that, like what you were saying.
Yeah, but then you have to go home or go back to LA without.
That part was very sad.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting, and the whole thing with pet grief, and I've talked to somebody before who was saying to me that when they lost their dog, they were far more upset than when their dad passed away, and people always thought that was odd, but it actually makes total sense, because their dog was there when they came home from work. They were there, they went out for walks every day, whereas this person only saw their dad sporadically. So for you to go back to LA with no dog must have been with no Copper.
Yeah, it was, as I said, heartbreaking. But look, it depends on your relationship with anyone, and you can have a parent or a sibling and have a very distant relationship. You can be very close. You don't know where it's gonna hit, and I understand that. It's, if you have a pet, and whether it's a dog or a cat or whatever, you become so incredibly close. As you said, it's the moments in silence. They're around all the time. They're not demanding. They're just, it's unconditional love. It's the purest form of it. Like you never get in an argument with your dog or your cat. That doesn't happen.
No, and they don't answer you back either, which is also
exactly. Yeah,
so they're nice.
But so I mean, that's a safe place for us. And I'm talking about the human condition on that. And it's a very special connection, and it's one that isn't talked about enough. Like most things on this podcast, and I've been listening to episodes, and I'm just like, wow, everyone's so brave coming on and talking about
and
their
being
loss.
so open. Because
grieving is a part of life, as we all know, and within life is painful, and we are built as humans to push that down inside us and move forward. We're not built emotionally as humans to keep resurfacing pain and living in it. We naturally want to move on, and that goes back to the hunter-gatherer. But it's, with something like this, it's addressing it, and that's why it's such a great thing that you're doing here.
Thank you. With pet grief, do you think we talk enough about that? Do you think there's enough acknowledgement?
I don't think there's
when
enough.
When people lose their pet?
Well, this is my point. It's like, I don't think that we talk enough about grieving, whether it's a pet or
Full
you
stop.
know, full stop in general. People are intimidated by it. People don't know what questions to ask, and nobody can feel your pain. Your own pain is so isolated, and pain is pain, whether it's a breakup, whether it's loss, you know, or a death or anything in the family. Nobody feels your pain. No one will truly understand that, and we all know there's been moments in our lives where we say, okay, like, this is how I feel. No one understands it. No one gets it. And that leads to depression and all sorts.
And it also seems to me that, and without generalising, women tend to talk a lot more about their feelings, particularly through grief, than men. Did you find that? Have you found that?
I haven't found that, but I'm not in women's groups.
Yeah.
You know?
No, but I just think from the point of view of, would you talk to your male friends as much, and would they be as perhaps receptive as your female friends? Or is it something guys tend to shy away from a little bit?
I think the right friends will listen and the right friends will care. I mean, I definitely noticed a difference from, say, 20 years ago to now. I mean, society has changed. And it's thank God it's more okay for a male to talk about their loss or their pain or their grief or whatever, their anguish. I think it's important to express it and communicate it. Yes, there's therapy and all of the things that we can do on the mental side, but looking at just having someone close, it's a very different perspective and understanding. And that usually, if you're talking to a friend about something, or a family member, that comes from a place of concern and love, rather than just doing your job as a therapist and turning up.
Yeah. And when you were here, when Copper died, you were obviously filming. Yeah. And did you have to go back to work then?
Yeah. I mean,
how was that?
Act.
Yeah.
You know, I had to.
But you got support from
I mean, the only
colleagues.
thing. Oh, I did. They were incredible. Yeah. I mean, Jane and Rohan and all of the team were absolutely incredible. They were so close. Like myself and Joe Spain and David Logan. Like we go hiking all the time. And Rose, we go up to Ticknock, and we did with her, all the time. And then when she passed, then I left it a while, and then I think it was quite a while. But then we went up and spread the ashes around the mountain.
Amazing. And
then there was two spots. So the top of the mountain, and then there was a little watering hole that she would always jump into. And I said, I want to put some in here, because she always went in and laid in the water. And then David Logan was standing beside me, and I threw the ashes up, and the wind blew, and they went right into his mouth.
Yeah, actually, we did a similar experience. Actually, when myself with the kids put some Martin's ashes down to Spain to a favourite restaurant we had down there, and it was sort of one of the little chiringuitos right on the beach, and there was a little table he used to sit at, and we sprinkled the ashes just on the beach side, sort of on the sly, you know, because we didn't know whether you were allowed to do that or not. And then weirdly, this gust of wind came along, and the ashes went over the little wall and landed right in the ashtray.
Oh my God.
On the table. So there are these weird sort of synchronicities when you do that as well. And something nice, I think, about like holding on to ashes, but also sprinkling them, because then you can go back to that place.
You can go back, exactly.
It's not a hole in the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to do it in a place that, you know, makes sense and that you're connected to as well. I think that can be healing in its own way.
Yeah. And you also immortalised.
Yeah.
Didn't you? You have a tattoo.
I got a tattoo. Yeah, I got a big tattoo here of her. And then I got another dog as well. I rescued a dog in 23, I guess. In March, I was saying like, oh, this is depressing, and my intention was to get another dog
anyway
before she passed.
Yeah.
And I had a friend of mine that has had multiple dogs and gone through that pain, and I remember talking to him, and he said like, you should get another one. And then that's part of that dog within that, because they shared that time together. And I thought that was beautiful. And I would have if I wasn't filming and traveling. So I felt that kind of gap. And just the silence. Nobody talks about that either. It's the silence. So you wake up, there's no
They're not there.
They're not there.
Yeah.
And anyone that's ever lost a dog will know that is terrifying.
Yeah.
The silence, and it's just too quiet. Like, your dog is your shadow. So when you don't have that, you notice it big time. And that takes a long time. So I went down to the pound, and I think I was like, oh, well, I'll just take a look. And then Ali, who I rescued, she winked at me, and that was it. And she had a...
and was that here or in States?
That was in LA, yeah. That was in LA. And she had her brother was in the cage with her, and there was another guy, and he was like, well, okay, like, I'm
I'll
looking
take
at that one.
Yeah,
I said, well, if you take that one, I'll take this one. And then we get them out. But I called Ali because Copper's original name was Ali.
Okay.
So that was my tip of the hat to Copper.
Okay. And what's her frequent flyer status?
I'll have to check now. Yeah, no, she's done a couple of trips. I brought her back last season, and then this season. So
yeah,
she's
becoming fast part of the team.
Yeah, we'll get her. Yeah. We'll get her there. Yeah.
As we touched on at the beginning, obviously, January 2023, 13th of January, Julian Sands, who was a good mate of yours, went missing hiking. You'd already, gone through lost Copper and also a bereavement before Christmas. Then how did that transpire?
It was crazy. My phone blew up when it hit media. That's when it went big.
Yeah, because you first met working together.
We did a series with John Malkovich called Crossbones, and we shot that in Puerto Rico, and it was all about Blackbeard and John Malkovich playing Blackbeard, and it was a great show to be a part of. So much fun, like just thrown in a Caribbean island, and we worked with an incredible Irish director actually on it, Ciarán Donnelly, and we became very close. And Julian was very close with John anyway, and they were working on a lot of Harold Pinter's material, and Julian wanted to take that on tour at that point, so he was a sponge to John's information. Like, John is just an encyclopedia of information, anything related to writers, plays, anything. So Julian started touring with that, and I would go to a lot of his shows, and then he loved hiking, I loved hiking, so we'd go up Runyon a lot. But then it was Baldy Mount Baldy, he wanted to go out, and then he was telling me all the routes, and I was going out, he couldn't make it, but he mapped it out for me and said, like, this is where you go, this is my route, this is how I climbed that mountain. So I was like, okay, cool. So I went up, I went up in winter, and I went up, and I was literally in like a Boston Marathon jacket. I went up a Copper, and I went around the mountain pretty quickly, but there was no snowfall. Like that, when that happened with Julian in 23, it was the heaviest snowfall ever on record in California. Wow. So the mountain, a mountain completely changes with snowfall. And some of these trails up there, like when you hike it in good conditions, it looks like Mordor or something. It's very narrow, tall spike peaks, and the wrong conditions. So it becomes a different beast to. Well, a path on a trail, at minimum probably goes to maybe a couple of feet, and if there's heavy snowfall, that could look like 4 or 5 feet, and then you're going down. But it's look, obviously the conditions were horrendous when he was up there, but it was shocking. It hit the media at that point, and I was scurrying around, and I was here as well, so I was very limited on what I could do because I had my obligation obviously to production. But what I was trying to do during this time period was create awareness. So I guess like my management they were reached out to by Fox News and different outlets, seeing if we could do some media on it. And I agreed to, because I wanted to create sort of a public outreach. A lot of people were reaching out to me, like mountaineers, that wanted to put teams together and go up and find them. They wanted me to go with them. I obviously wasn't available right at that minute. But what I was doing was I was trying to get crews out of Everest. And Everest had such heavy snowfall and the amount of people that were missing on that mountain, they couldn't afford
Wow.
to take anyone out, because it would have a massive impact on loss of life on Everest. So then I was looking into, and that's because I couldn't find anyone really in the US that good. But with snowfall that bad and experience, you got to bring in the best teams in the world at that point.
Yeah. Why do you? I mean, obviously, it's as you described. It was very, very, dangerous, a place to hike. But he was an experienced hiker.
He was very experienced. He was massively experienced and very smart and extremely fit. He makes wise choices, and look, obviously we don't know exactly what happened, but anyone that knows him was very, very surprised that happened, because he's so prepared.
Yeah, and was before when he, obviously somebody goes off on a hike, the sort of time passes. When did the call come that he could be in trouble?
Well, if you're not back in, the same day, there's an issue. But certainly when it goes into day 1 or 2 in those conditions, there's massive concern. And everyone would fear the worst. But you see, at that point, I knew as much as everyone else that there's a ticking time bomb here, because if he is injured and managed to shelter and, keep himself going, you don't have much time. When the Everest thing wasn't working out, I got onto cruise in Utah, and they had search dogs, and that could go down 12 feet descent over. They could cover about, I think, I forget exactly how many miles per day, but it's a massive area, and it was actually too bad conditions for them to even go out. They were like, we're going to have to wait for the snow and the ice to start thawing out, so it would probably be like May, is what they were saying. And
this is January.
This is January. So
for you, in those months, I mean, it's sort of like, when somebody goes missing, and it's called ambiguous loss, because you're grieving the person, but yet you're not fully grieving them because you don't know whether they're coming back or not. So you had 5 months of not knowing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was June by the time they found him. It was horrendous. It was really bad. But I mean, it was the worst case scenario, and I think everyone accepted that after a certain amount of time goes by. I mean, even 3, 4, 5, every hour that went by, it lowered the chances.
Yeah.
And that was very, very tough.
Yeah. Because I'm just thinking as well, when somebody's out there, and obviously you didn't know exactly where he was, but in the general capacity, how hard that must be to sort of go about your day to day knowing that they're there somewhere and you can't get to them. Yeah,
that was terrible. Especially that he had shared the routes as well that he would go on. If I had been out there, I would have been up the mountain. I would have went with a team. There was, as I said, multiple people reaching out to me looking to put a team together for search and rescue. I mean, look, the Sheriff's County, they had the choppers out, they had the planes out, they were scouring that thing. But the weather was very bad as well for them in the air, so they were limited on what they could do. I know there was people on the ground as well, but it was one of them things that everything that they tried, they weren't getting the result that they wanted. Yeah. I'm happy that, they were able to eventually find him and, as you said, bring closure to it. Yeah. Kind of.
Even though it's not. There's always that little bit of hope, I think, that
always,
you'll sort of, it might, and especially for his family as well.
100%.
Because that must have been just horrendous.
Yeah, it's got to be the worst pain in the world,
Yeah. How do you feel? Have you been back?
To Mount Baldy?
Yeah.
No.
Will you ever go back?
If I did go back, it would be to maybe put something as a memorial for him. But no, I wouldn't just go on a hike there now. I'm so put off that mountain now.
Yeah.
I've done it twice. Yeah, twice, I think. But no, I it would be for him.
Yeah. With that time in your life, like from the January of 2023 to say the June, like you got that huge period of sadness and pain and, just loss. How did you sort of get up sometimes in the morning and just go, keep going?
It was a depressing time. I think I'm in my own way still dealing with the loss, but in a different, you say you have those stages of grief and stuff like that. But it was depressing. And I think like I made some bad choices and stuff like that. But I think ultimately you're going to go through the pain. You're going to grieve whatever way you grieve. And then it's how you pick yourself back up. And I've been very focused on that and looking at the positive outlook and celebrating, friends that have passed and even Copper and stuff like that. Celebrating them rather than sit in depression with it. And that takes time. No matter how many good memories you force yourself to think of someone, you can't feel anything but sadness. But as time goes by, and that old saying, time is a great healer, I truly believe in that.
Yeah. Well, you learn how to
live with it.
And I mean, there's still triggers. Do you find you get triggers? Do you have triggering moments of just even not necessarily for one or the other, but that time?
I get triggers, certainly. I mean, all the time. But they're not triggers that lead to bring me back to that level of pain. It's because I'm very much in the acceptance stage. I'm far past the acceptance stage, but it's talking about this is painful. Like being in here and like I could cry the whole time I'm talking right now, because I'm dealing with something head on. We don't generally deal with, our mind doesn't allow us to do this, sit for half an hour and think I'm going to think of pain for half an hour and all of this loss. We do it in snippets, as you said. You might see things,
meet somebody and go, yeah,
or a dog that looks like your dog, or whatever it is, or a restaurant that you used to go to with somebody, or whatever it is. But they're moments, they're fleeting moments, I feel, and they're not overwhelming sadness. You can miss someone and have still be sad,
happy
and
memories
love
as well,
them,
though, too.
Yeah. You can laugh.
Yeah.
You get to
and you have to laugh, because if you don't laugh, then it's over.
Yeah.
What do you find? What are the funny little things that you think of and you just go, "Well, that's actually really funny." And I remember coming down Runyon one time, and it was kind of like a V shape at the bottom of it, and I would kind of bounce off the two sides instead of just running down it. It was fun, and I liked doing it, and I'd be going quite fast, so it kind of slowed me down in a weird way. And Copper was with me, and whatever way I landed, because it was about a 6-foot drop, so when I went down, my left ankle rolled completely, and I mean, it was instant agony. I was on the ground screaming. About 8 seconds later, Julian Sands walks around the corner and with his little hiking sticks and everything, and I'm like, Julian, help me. And he's like, Kevin? He's like, what are you doing? This isn't like you to be on the ground. I'm like, help me. And I'm in bits, I'm screaming, but he couldn't believe that I'm injured up running, so then him and some Australians had to kind of help sort of carry me down the mountain a bit, and that wasn't so long before he went missing up his mountain. So it was that I always laugh at that. Yeah, and it's
8 seconds, not even 10. 8 seconds. Yeah. It was
of all the places,
all the people. Yeah. So I do laugh at that.
And it's great to have that, because that sort of is the way ultimately you want to remember. People. Yeah,
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. And even I haven't told that story in a while. I'm glad that you made my mind go there. But yeah, it was so bizarre. It was hilarious. And I was I was put up on bed rest for 2.5 months or 3 months after that. My ankle was swollen out like a little bowling ball. It was bad. Yeah.
And for now, with I suppose obviously you're acting and everything, whereas before, obviously, you draw on different personal experiences when you're doing the scene or you've got a playing a character. Has that period of loss been, I suppose, influenced how you perhaps portray sadness in any of your...
I have
Do you draw on it?
I have a very large toolbox.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot I can pull from.
Yeah.
And I think you would be foolish as an actor not to utilise your own pain in your work. I think, look, how I was trained, I initially studied Stanislavski, and then we went to, you kind of get your own technique as it goes anyway, no matter what technique you're taught, you're going to figure out your own and map it out, but I always come from a real place of pain in my work. Acting is... we're at that place where if you're acting, it's bad acting. If you're living with great acting, and that's you always want to connect. So to bring it from a real place is, I think, absolutely necessary to really get authenticity.
Quite
to your
fitting
pain.
if Julian influences that, being an actor himself.
Yeah,
really,
I mean, look,
it?
it's if I use an experience through someone for pain in my work, it's out of respect as well. But it's an interesting thing. And again, it's, as humans, we are not built to sort of surface all of these. Acting is such a strange job that every time you go to work, you're reliving pain, you're surfacing pain instead of suppressing it, which is naturally what our body is trying to do. So, a lot of actors are messed up in the head because, I'm sure, but you're constantly pulling from pain.
Yeah.
So you're actively thinking and trying
So
to emotionally
for you guys,
connect
it's sort
with
of an outlet. It is sort of almost like
therapy,
a release, or I was
the
going to
therapy
say
that you get paid for.
Yeah, but for the sort of anyone who's not an actor, they don't have that release.
True. Yeah, it's definitely
and I'm
a
sort of
release.
wondering how we can improve that in general.
It's I think it's interesting what you're saying there, but I think society has opened up more. I think it's more common and accepted now for people to discuss pain and be more emotionally vulnerable and open about their loss and the pain that they go through. And I the world has changed with that. I mean, I think going
Well, it's
back,
getting better.
it's
Like
getting so
even
much better.
5 years ago,
Yeah.
no one really sort of, and now there's, well, I feel there's a lot more sort of information out there on what you can say or what to do or what not to say, because that is one of people's biggest things. And that's why sometimes they run away, is because they go, I don't know what to say to this person.
Yeah, that happens too. What is the right thing to say? I don't know. I think if it comes from a place of genuine concern and love, I think you're not going to go wrong with that. And that's the biggest gift you can give someone going through that pain, is time and to be heard and listened to. And with the time, I mean, even in the silences. Some people don't want to talk, but just being there or checking in with somebody with a text message, hey, how you doing? Just checking in. And people do that with me. I do that with friends of mine. That'll be like, hey, thinking of you, just checking in, hope you're good,
We're just saying
thinking
hi.
of you.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, because I have friends all over the world kind of at this point with acting and all of that. And you don't get to see everyone for so long. And it's just like, it's nice to reach out and just like...
Remind people that you're there.
Yeah, and that's important. Knowing, allowing yourself to be there for other people, that if they ever need you, and be open to that communication, to allow that space and that safety for anyone to come to you is a big thing. Because I give that space to my friends, and they'll come to me and go, hey, I'm going through this. It's like, okay, now it's time to listen and be there.
Yeah, no, it's important. You have Ali now, and as we said at the beginning, you're back here filming. So things are better, things are good.
Things are going great. Yeah. There's she's a shepherd with a bit of husky in her.
Ooh.
So she's like a rebellious teenager.
Yeah.
She's good. She's too smart for her own good, though. So anytime, you call her back and she doesn't want to, she'll look at you and then turn and peg it up the street. So yeah, she's great. But and then season 5 of Harry Wild has gone so well. Like we're on our final week and a half shooting now.
Wow.
And it's just been such an incredible run on that. And the team are just great. And we're talking about season 6 already now. We had dinner with our head producer last week in Wild Restaurant.
How apt.
Yes,
there you go.
It was very good. No, they were wonderful, and it was. They're saying that there's no reason whatsoever why we're not going for season 6, and I know the writers have it all mapped out already. As well.
And as an actor, that must be a nice little sort of comfort to have.
It's such a
blocked
privilege
to
be on a show that you've been from the start and do 5 seasons. It doesn't happen that often. Like if you look at the percentage rate of shows created, it's less common than you think. It's easy to see a show when it's in the success, but I mean Breaking Bad, nobody knew about that till season 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, we're just lucky. We have an audience that's very strong. We've gone global. It's a great international audience with it, and I'm just glad we're shooting in Dublin as well. I get to spend time with my family, see my friends, and I just every day I'm working, I count myself lucky.
Thank you for coming in. I know at times it was easy to see that it was difficult.
Thank you.
But you were very, very honest, and I love the way you feel so attached to Copper and the importance of Copper's memory and speaking about her, because I think that's something perhaps people forget to do. And
I think if this helps even one person, it's worth doing. It's worth going to that place.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Grief Pod with Venetia Quick. You can listen on SoundCloud or wherever you get your podcasts. We also have an online community on Facebook, The Grief Pod, or on Instagram @GriefPod Series.